DW Africa Link.
There is a silent killer in Kenya, and it's claiming the lives of many men. I'm talking about prostate cancer. The disease is now the leading cause of cancer deaths among men in Kenya. According to recent estimates from the World Health Organization, an estimated 5 men die from prostate cancer every single day. Now that is a call to action. So why is this happening? Is it fear, stigma, or just a lack of awareness?
You know, one thing that makes me not want to test for prostate cancer is because anytime you go for problems, you will always get problems. So why exactly would I go and collect trouble that I don't have? You see people going for tests and they get sick immediately.
I will not go for prostate cancer testing. I'm young. I believe I'm young. I'm in my early 30s, and prostate cancer is a disease for old people.
I would go test for prostate cancer because I believe early detection is very instrumental when it comes to the treatment of cancer. Equals to getting the medication fast enough instead of and then failing to get the right treatment at the right time.
You know, it's funny because my immediate reaction to this was actually no. I guess I had the same reaction to this question that most men will have to, will you consider vasectomy? Having sat on the question, I think I'd be open to this. Some of the benefits or the reasons as to why, but honestly, it's not anything that has ever really crossed my mind.
And what's being done to change the situation? That's what's coming up. I am Eddie Micah Jr., and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Now let's dig into the matter. Prostate cancer tops the list of male cancers in Kenya. According to Kenya's Ministry of Health, it is responsible for nearly 20% of all cancer cases in men. The good news is that early screening can push survival rates above 90%. The bad news is that most men only seek medical help when the disease is advanced, when treatment is costly, complex, and far less effective. So why the delay? Part of the answer lies in stigma. For many men, a test for prostate cancer feels like an attack on their masculinity, and so the silence becomes deadly. For more on this, let's bring in a medical expert, Dr. Martin Kuria. Also joining us is my colleague and DW correspondent in Kenya, Felix Maria. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the Africa Link podcast. Dr. Kuria, I'm going to start with you because I really want to find out exactly what prostate cancer is. Can you break it down for the ordinary man like myself?
I would actually define prostate cancer. I'm sure most of the common men have had this very big disease that we refer to as cancer, which is more or less the growth of any part of the body when cells divide and they become and they are supposed to be, whereas they are also normal. That one we refer to it as cancer. In this case, for prostate cancer, it is overgrowth of a very small, tiny organ, which we refer to as the prostate, only found in men, and it is anatomically just found beneath the bladder, and also red meat in terms of food, and also smoking.
It's interesting what you said that some things are still unknown. But Felix, let me come to you because what we do know is how dire the situation is in Kenya, right? I mean, we're talking about 5 men dying from prostate cancer every day in Kenya. I mean, tell me more about this, Felix, because you have checked out the latest findings from the WHO Global Cancer Observatory. Tell us more.
Yes, thank you, Eddie. The Global Cancer Observatory Group reported that there's 5 men that are dying in Kenya every single day. And the situation is projected by the Ministry of Health in Kenya to even get worse as the years go by. In 2023, there were about 42,000 new cases of cancer. In 2028, the number is expected to go up to about 58,000. And in 2040, the number is expected to double. And of course, they gave some of the reasons as late screening. That is when people go for their cancer screening when it's in the last stages, and their fighting chances become very slimmer. They also noted in the report that in the general overview of all cancer cases, women have a higher fighting chance as compared to the men, because women go to get screened at a very early stage. They some of them even start screening when they are in high school, or when they are in their academic institutions. So they get to follow their medical journey through and through, while the case is very different for the men who go for their screening very late. And that's why the numbers do not seem to be favoring men. But also, it also paints a very grim picture, because Kenya is ranked among the top 5 African countries with cancer mortality rates, and about 145 people out of every 100,000 are dying due to cancer. So the numbers are worrying. WHO says that some of the factors contributing to this are lifestyle changes, urbanization, and the improvement in capacity for diagnosis that has happened in the last couple of years.
Right. Very alarming stats. And from what you're saying, it could even get worse. But look, I just wonder why men wait so long. And as men, we can be a bit careless, right? I mean, you're on the ground in Kenya and regularly engaging with the public. Are men generally open about getting regular screenings? Are they even aware of this disease? What's the attitude like?
So men are aware that the disease is there, but what has happened is it speaks to the greater African culture. So in the African culture, men have been taught to be strong. Men have been taught to be tough, and they've been taught that nothing can break them. So when they stare at something that could easily break them or end the good run that they've had with life, it's usually a very hard situation to reconcile between going to get tested and knowing that this is what I'm looking at, or not knowing the situation and living with it as it is. Then men also want to be tough and strong and not breakable. And so most of the people who've been diagnosed with cancer, sad as it may, it ends up spreading to the rest of the bodies. And what the society sees is the weak man, the feeble man, and the man who's unable to do anything for himself. Now, the African man hates that. The Kenyan man hates to see that they are now resided to maybe the bed, or they are resided to fate, and they cannot be able to do anything for themselves. So the stigmatization that comes with knowing you're unwell sometimes makes the people choose to live with their known information. Then also, most of those people who've been screened and they found not to be in advanced stages that their cancer can actually be treated, they have chosen not to come public with that information so that they avoid being stigmatized. So what most of the men will see, or what they look at, and maybe the doctor will give us more information on this, is men will be seeing the feeble man and not be seeing the man who was screened and he was found to probably be at early stages of cancer, and they got to kickstart their medical procedures and their medical journey, and they get to find help in the long run. They maintain their stature, they are strong, they are chasing their careers, and everything else is going well for them. So when all that men see is the weak man, the feeble man, the man who is not able to do anything for themselves, then they step back and avoid to get tested all the same.
Right. I mean, look, Doctor, that is sad to say the least. But it's one thing you also said, Doctor, that it's something that becomes a bit more prevalent in men from the age of around 50. Some experts even say from 40 onwards. Is that to say that men should only check or screen themselves for prostate cancer when they are 40 onwards? When is the right time for men to start screening for prostate cancer?
Thank you. The right age, we actually recommend, according to the National Cancer Institute within our country, based on the median age, based on recent research which has been carried out in Kenya, we actually recommend that any man above the age of 40 should have an yearly screening test for prostate cancer. So a man above 40 years should be screening for cancer once every year.
Okay, that is good to know. Felix, you're not 40 years yet, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you're good for you. But so, is there any chance, Doctor, that a man can develop prostate cancer even before 40? Because I really want men listening now to really grasp this. At the end of this podcast, men above 40 should pick up their, stuff and go straight to the hospital for some screening. Is that what we are saying? Or are there situations where even before 40, one could have prostate cancer?
One thing that we need to be very clear on, I think we are working with the general data that we get from research and what we commonly see at the clinical setup. There are always what we call outliers. There are always cases that we see of men below the age of 40 also getting prostate cancer, though few, but they are also likelihood. And probably that's why, it's always very important for the public to have a lot of knowledge about the telltale signs or the red flags that they need to notice.
And that is a very good point. So take us right to it, Doctor. What are the symptoms? What are the signs to look out for that can draw one's attention to the fact that they may be developing prostate cancer or this issue with their prostate?
So there's some very specific symptoms which, as a man, once they notice, it can give them a rough idea and that they may be having prostate cancer, and therefore they need to go to the nearest health center for checkup. Number one, mostly concerned with the pattern and manner of urination. Because remember, I said the prostate gland just lies beneath the bladder. It actually completely surrounds the urethra, which is normally a pipe which normally gets urine out of the body. So the moment a male gets prostate cancer, it always starts interfering with the normal pattern and manner of urination. So one thing that the man will notice is that they'll have frequent urination, more so at night. So where he or she will be waking up very early, very many times, to go and urinate. Then secondly, they may also notice a weak urine flow. That is, when they go to have urine out of the body, so initially they may struggle to get the urine out, or the moment it starts, once the stream gets starting off, then it may be interrupted, and therefore it becomes a bit difficult to sustain urination and emptying of the bladder. Thirdly, some men actually notice pain while urinating, so it becomes a bit uncomfortable to get urine out of the body. There are some who report a burning sensation or irritation as urine is actually coming out of the body. So there are cases, when the cancer in the later stages, the patient will also report blood in urine. So whereby as the urine gets out, they notice the color of the urine has some spots of blood. And in some cases, it also applies to semen during ejaculation. That is, the man may also notice blood. And also for some younger men, they may also notice painful ejaculation. So it's also another telltale sign for prostate cancer. Wow.
Look, you got me a little bit worried there at the beginning when you said men urinating frequently. Sometimes I wake up quite often to, use the washroom at night, right? Maybe 2 or 3 times. But I've always assumed or connected it to the fact that I drink a lot of water before going to bed. But otherwise, all the other symptoms that you were talking about, I don't feel it. Am I safe, doctor?
Thank you for that question. I think what we need to understand is it's not one symptom in isolation. So it has to be a number of symptoms together. Then it's always good to remember that the symptoms I have mentioned, for instance, frequency urination, can also be a symptom of another disease like diabetes. And also it may also be due to the pattern of your fluid intake, how much water you take during the day. So it is important for the man first to have identified that there is a drastic change in my pattern of urination at night. That is, before, probably I used to wake up once, at night to urinate, but this now from maybe 2 weeks ago or a month, now I have to wake up 3 or 4 times. Then you have to connect the frequency together with the other symptoms. Are we having pain during urination? Are we having a weak or interrupted urine stream? So you have to connect the symptoms. And I also have to add that these same symptoms, we also see them in other diseases of the prostate gland. There is what you call inflammation of the prostate, which we refer to as prostatitis. And there is also non-cancerous enlarging of the prostate, which we call the benign prostatic hyperplasia. So at the end of the day, upon noticing the signs and symptoms, you still have to go to a healthcare practitioner for them to diagnose you with prostate cancer.
Right. Look, I have my pen and paper out taking notes because I'm really learning a lot from this, and I'm sure our listeners are also taking notes. And I'm just wondering, with all that we are learning, Felix, is prostate cancer openly discussed in Kenyan media, or, as you seemed to suggest earlier, it's still some sort of a taboo subject and people do not openly discuss it and, enlighten men about it?
There's a 2 approach to that answer to that question. So first, yes, the media in Kenya, the government, the non-governmental organizations, they're increasingly shedding light on this topic. Every day you see a media interview, an article written online, or even an organization that is streaming the event online, just shedding light on prostate cancer. There are discussions at different levels of society that are being held to get men screened and have them know their conditions at a very early stage. The other bit of this is that in the rural Kenya, it still remains a taboo topic. There are efforts that are being made on a daily basis to ensure that Kenyans are screening. There is open conversations about it. The media, the local media channels are discussing this topic, and possible solutions are being found for people who struggle even with the idea of going to get screened. So the uptake is slow, but definitely the dynamics are changing by the day. Even the report by the WHO is saying that the main reason why the numbers seem to be on a rise, it's because more people are coming out to get screened. The uptake is slow, but we are definitely getting there.
Great. That's good to know, doctor, right? Some of the things you mentioned, aside the sort of natural causes, is the things that men do that can cause prostate cancer. You talked about drinking a lot, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I also heard from someone, don't remember who, I think one of my friends who were discussing this at some point, saying that even riding bicycles sometimes can cause prostate cancer. Never really fact-checked it, but tell us more about some of these things that men do that can easily get us to getting prostate cancer.
I have also read, some data about the same. It has not yet been scientifically, there is no scientific evidence, linking riding of bikes with prostate cancer. The only minor link that may make people to attach the two is the fact that riding of bicycles, based on the kind of seat that you are using, is known to cause something called prostatitis, that is inflammation of the prostate gland. And then prolonged prostatitis can cause prostate cancer. But riding on a bike, as at now, will not connect it to prostate cancer.
Okay, well, that will be something because I like riding my bike. But thanks for that. I think your answer is quite clear. It's not been scientifically connected or proven yet, so we'll wait for that to happen. But very good advice, doctor, that you've given. At this point, I'm just really wondering, Felix, as we wrap this up with your final words, what actions are being taken in Kenya to really drum this down the minds and the heads of people to take this disease more seriously? Talking about
the National Cancer Institute in Kenya hosted an event in 2025. It's called the Cancer Summit. It was brought together to address the burden of prostate cancer and find practical solutions. We also have local corporate organizations that have screening outreach programs, both in the rural, the urban and the peri-urban areas. We also have churches that are doing screening. They offer free medical camps, either within the urban setup or most of the time in the rural areas, and including the far-flung areas within the country to just get people screened for prostate cancer. Yeah, I think bit by bit, my parting shot would be that all of us as men need to understand that getting tested does not make us weak. It just helps us take control of our health in the present and in the future.
right. And to be honest, it only makes you a better man, makes you a wise man, not just waiting for it to get worse or for things to get worse, but more like preemptive measures taken to prevent yourself from getting the cancer in the first place. I will keep those as the parting shots, Felix Maringa. Thank you very much for that submission. And many thanks to you, Dr. Martin Kuria, also for all that information and education. I have definitely learned a lot from this. Thank you very much, guys. Across Africa, a higher share of men diagnosed with prostate cancer die from it. That's compared to other regions, especially wealthier ones. This is mainly due to late detection, limited treatment options, and poor follow-up care. But here's the thing. Experts say the crisis is avoidable. Prostate cancer is one of the most treatable cancers if detected early. So what are you waiting for? As we also heard, this is not just a medical issue. It's a cultural one. Changing mindsets around masculinity and normalizing men's health checks is now just as urgent as providing the services themselves. And you, our listeners, can play a crucial role in this change. So what do you think? Your thoughts and opinions matter to us. We value your input and encourage you to share your thoughts with us on our Facebook page, DW Africa. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to click follow and subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. And I am Eddie Micah Jr. Thanks for listening.
DW. Made for minds.